First Things First is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jen Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer, Chris Carter. As always, this is Nick Wright. We've got a full jam show for you today. We got some controversy surrounding Carson Wentz and the Eagles, Chris Carter.
Yeah.
The Saints, they're still complaining about the no call on Sunday. We're going to kick things off, though, with the Patriots.
Did you guys have a good night last night?
Okay.
Great.
I don't have time for the
what'd you
night.
guys have for dinner?
No time.
Jenna ain't got time for you. We're
I don't
talking
have time for
sports.
this. All I want to talk about is sports.
I had a Brady shake.
All right. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are preparing for their 9th Super Bowl as a tandem. After Sunday's win, cameras caught a special moment as the two were seen embracing, saying they love each other. Same way Nick and Cece do to start every morning here. As you'd guess, it was a hot topic yesterday. Here's Tom Brady on his relationship with his longtime coach.
You know, we've always gotten along great. We've worked together for 19 years. So, you know, we've been had the same goals in mind for 19 years. And, you know, he's been just a great mentor in my life, a great coach. He's taught me, you know, more than, you know, anyone ever could about the game of football. You know, I've always just loved playing here and playing for him. He's the greatest coach of all time. And we just had some incredible moments together.
So, you see, we have heard and talked a lot about the relationship between these two, not just this year, but in years past, the discord between them. Has it been overblown? Because here they are again, and obviously, as you just heard from Tom Brady, things are, you know, great.
Well, let's just look over the last 15, 18 years in New England. Any story out of New England, because of the success that they've had, all of them have been overblown. Like, regardless of what you talk about, even if you go back to Spygate, the amount of coverage, Tom Brady's suspension, all those things, because they're the world champs. They're the most intriguing story that we've had in sports in the last 20 years, and they've dominated the landscape as far as they have created a lot of haters along the way, being successful. So, for me, this is more about, this was inevitable. This was going to happen. And the reason why is because Bill Belichick, and ultimately what he believes in, as far as controlling his roster, as far as getting rid of players before they're out of their prime, not signing older players to long-term contracts, and him determining when their shelf life was going to be ended. Him and Tom Brady, based on what how Tom has tried to restructure his whole eating and restructure his whole career based on eating, they were on a crash course. Because Tom Brady has been saying for a long time, I want to play till I'm 45. Well, Bill Belichick, ultimately, that was going to meet, regardless. If we weren't talking about anything else, just forget about relationships, how tough they are, being in a pressure environment that they have been in, all the things. Yes, that's a normal amount of stress on any relationship. But, you know, Brumley brought it to my attention. Man, let's look at some of the greatest relationships ever. They break up.
Right. Go ahead. If you
No, go ahead. That's it.
No, I mean, that's what bands. You know what I mean? Be it the television shows, but like the person sitting with Regis changes, or and so it's hard for things to last. Marriages, and I don't think it was overblown. I think what happened last year and what was reported last year was real. There was a power struggle, and Brady won it. And you know what? I think they're both better off for it. I think Belichick was looking for, at the same timeline I'd been looking at in NFL history, which was no one had done what Brady did at 39. So is he going to do it at 40? And at 41, he says he wants to play till he's 45. I've got this young quarterback who I think can do it. I know at the time being would be doing it cheaper. And then the inflection point of the relationship where even if Brady already had seized some of the power was the comeback in the Falcons Super Bowl. From that moment forward, Tom Brady, if he wasn't already a made man in NFL lore, he became as made of a man as you can within the only people who have real power over Belichick's life, the Crafts. And because of that, we saw what we saw last year, which was almost seemingly rushed at the trade deadline. Jimmy Garoppolo traded. I do think there was real discord, but discord doesn't mean dysfunction. And discord doesn't mean
it just didn't.
Absolutely right. And it all worked out.
Right.
I know they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, but that wasn't on number 12. What did he throw, 500 yards? He was great. And then this year, when things seem to be on the team level deteriorating from a performance standpoint, come the playoffs, they dominate the Chargers. Belichick has a brilliant game plan for the Chiefs. And then in the final moments, guess what? Brady was perfect. And so to me, that embrace at the midfield was, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but when I'm looking at it, it was a realization from both of them. Man, we don't get to 9 by ourselves. We might not get to 5 by ourselves. We might not get to 3 by ourselves, because that Chiefs game was the perfect melding of the two. Belichick took care of the beginning. Brady took care of the end. And with the two of them, they are so much greater as a combo than what they would be individually.
The reason why I believe it's overblown is because I know Mr. Kraft. I know enough about Belichick in knowing players that have played for him, played against him, know other coaches that have coached with him, know people that have played with Tom Brady. And there's not a lot of information on these relationships. So for me, a lot of this stuff is guessing. A lot of the stuff, it is gossip, because there's not a lot of information out of that relationship. So I believe a lot of the media attention, people add things to what happened. Ultimately, they had to make a decision on Jimmy Garoppolo. If he was going to stay, if he was going to go. Now, Belichick might have wanted something else, but Tom Brady's ability to play at 40, that changed the game. Him playing at an MVP level at 40, regardless of what Belichick believed in, all right, it became evident Tom Brady wanted to finish his playing career with the New England Patriots. So for me, I don't think there was as much tension there as people would try to make us try to believe there was tension there, compared to there's automatically going to be tension in a work relationship, especially when you can't control your exit. And that's the way it is with Tom Brady in New England.
What people like to do so often is pull them apart. Well, does one need the other? Who's more important? Who won that game? Who's responsible more for the titles? Who's responsible more for the success? But it appears to be that them together are responsible for the success, that they wouldn't be able to survive or thrive, if you will, separate from each other. Why are we even asking that question? I mean, can you think of another relationship in sports that we just talked about in Green Bay? With McCarthy and Rodgers, 1 or 2 seasons of him being a little upset, and they had to separate the two. I'm sure that it has gone over the years where there are times where Tom Brady's frustrated, but I can't imagine the two of them not being together and not being responsible for the success.
Right. It's a sports unknown, and we'll never know it. Like, what would Belichick's career have been like with a different quarterback, and what Brady's career would have been like with a different coach? I do think there are paths to go down where, for both of them, it doesn't end anywhere near greatest of all time discussion. But what we know is what we know, which is together they have accomplished unprecedented, and it's not just unprecedented. It would have been seemingly, if I would have told you, Chris, or when you were retiring, you retired the year after they won their first Super Bowl, that, hey, these guys are going to go to 8 more of these things together. They're going to win 4 more, maybe 5 more. I don't think you would have believed it was possible. I don't think anyone thought that it was. No,
I would have put that in the bag of Nick Wright's hot takes.
Right. I mean,
this is not going to happen.
It is more, when people say, when LeBron went to the Heat, and he was like, not 6, not 7. That seemed outlandish, but it didn't seem impossible. When people talk about the Warriors, if they stay together, could they win 4 in a row, 5 in a row? It seems outlandish, but not impossible. What the Patriots have done seems impossible. The only reason it's believable is because we saw it happen, and it obviously and clearly doesn't happen without these two guys coming together at the exact moment they did and the way they did.
Belichick can't coach the way he wants to coach unless he has a quarterback like Tom Brady. So for me, Belichick will always be more important. His impact on the 53-man roster, how that roster is put together, how the front office is going to do, how the Crafts are going to run their football business, that's all Belichick. Josh McDaniels comes down, gives Brady 8 plays the morning of the AFC Championship, what happens to be the most important game of Tom Brady's career. That was not Tom Brady. Tom Brady just showed up. But what they have put in place to allow him to be better, to me, that's why Belichick is far more important than Tom Brady. And I believe that Tom Brady understands that more than the public. That's why I believe that the public makes too much of the relationship as if there's tension there. I believe Tom Brady understands it more than we do.
All right, we've got to take a break. Coming up, why are players calling Carson Wentz selfish? Talk some Eagles next on First Things First.